No one could have predicted that a regular day of filming would turn into the kind of chaos that would leave the entire cast speechless. But that's exactly what happened when Ty, with her signature calm but cutting tone, dropped a bombshell that no one, not even the producers, saw coming. According to whispers making their way across every social feed, Ty has claimed that Evelyn, the queen of confidence and controversy, is secretly engaged. It's one of their own producers. The moment the words left Ty's mouth, the room, reportedly, froze. Cameras kept rolling, but even the crew looked stunned, unsure if they should keep filming or shut everything down. And the fallout, unimaginable. Cast members were left questioning everything they thought they knew. Friendships were thrown into jeopardy. And the fan base exploded with theories that only fueled the fire. Could it really be true? Has Evelyn been keeping a life-changing secret from everyone playing a game no one else even realized they were part of? Or is this just another masterful setup designed to shatter reputations and spark ratings gold? One thing is certain, this revelation has changed the dynamic forever, and the drama is only getting started. It all started with what was supposed to be a lighthearted segment. The cast had gathered around the lounge area, sipping their lattes, laughing about old episodes, and joking about who had the most chaotic moments on the show. The energy was playful, almost warm, until Ty leaned back in her chair, gave that sly smile she's famous for, and dropped a sentence that sent the room spinning. "Funny thing," she said, tilting her head toward Evelyn. "Some of us don't have to worry about being chaotic because they're busy planning secret engagements with the people signing our checks." The silence that followed was deafening. You could literally hear the hum of the cameras, the awkward cough of one crew member, and the sharp intake of breath from Chantal, who almost dropped her phone. Evelyn froze for a split second, her usual razor-sharp confidence faltering just enough for everyone to notice. She forced a laugh, tried to dismiss it with a wave of her hand, but the damage had already been done. The tension was so thick, even Brandy whispered under her breath, "What the hell is she talking about?" Ty didn't stop there. With a tone that was calm but laced with venom, she leaned forward and added, "You heard me?" The ring might not be on her finger yet, but the deal, oh honey, that deal has been sealed for months. The cameras zoomed in on Evelyn's face, catching every flicker of anger, shock, and disbelief. It was the kind of moment that makes reality TV gold. And everyone in that room knew they were standing in the middle of a storm about to blow wide open. Doug, who happened to be visiting the set that day, tried to defuse the situation. "Come on, Ty," he said, forcing a chuckle. "Don't start with the conspiracy theories. Do you know how people twist words around here?" But Ty just smiled that dangerous smile and pulled out her phone, holding it up like it was a trophy. "Twist, baby. These aren't twists. These are receipts." What happened next was pure chaos. Chantal gasped audibly. Emma grabbed her drink like she needed the caffeine to process what she was hearing. And even Jackie, who usually jumps to Evelyn's defense, sat back quietly, her eyes darting between Ty and Evelyn like she was trying to do the math in her head. Evelyn finally snapped, slamming her hand on the table. "You need to stop," she hissed, her voice low but trembling. "You have no idea what you're talking about." But the problem was, everyone in the room now believed that Ty did know. The crew scrambled to capture every angle, every reaction, while whispers started flying. Someone muttered about late-night texts. Someone else mentioned seeing Evelyn in a corner booth during an after-party with the very producer Ty was referencing. Suddenly, every late call, every private conversation, every unexplained look between Evelyn and that producer was being reanalyzed in real dash time. Brandy, never one to hold back, finally said what everyone else was thinking. "Wait, are you telling us Evelyn has been seeing him this whole time? Like, seriously seeing him?" Ty leaned back in her chair, savoring the moment. "Seeing him?" she repeated with a small laugh. "Try planning a wedding with him. Sure, keep pretending like you don't know." Evelyn's face went crimson, and for a moment it looked like she might walk out right then and there. But instead, she straightened her posture, put on that icy smile, and said, "You can say whatever you want, Ty. I don't have to explain my life to you or anyone else." The words were strong, but the tremor in her voice gave her away, and everyone noticed. Fans watching the raw footage later would replay that clip 100 times, dissecting every micro-expression, every blink, every clenched jaw. What made the moment even more explosive was how the rest of the cast reacted once they regained their voices. Chantal, who has always been closest to Evelyn, tried to defend her at first, insisting that there was no way this could be true. "She would have told me," Chantal said, her voice breaking slightly. "We tell each other everything. Right, Eve?" But Evelyn couldn't meet her eyes, and that silence told its own story. Jackie, on the other hand, looked almost satisfied. It wasn't a secret that her friendship with Evelyn had been strained for months. And now she finally had a front row seat to her rival's downfall. I mean, Jackie muttered under her breath, but loud enough for the cameras to catch, "Karma doesn't play favorites." The shockwave didn't stop with the cast. Within hours, clips from the confrontation started leaking online. Fan pages lit up with theories, some siding with Ty, praising her for exposing what they called a manipulative power play, while others rushed to defend Evelyn, arguing that her personal life was her own business. Hashtags started trending. Think pieces were written, and suddenly, the show wasn't just a reality series, it was the headline of the week. Behind the scenes, production was in full panic mode. The producer at the center of the storm reportedly went dark, not answering calls or texts, while the network scrambled to figure out how to manage the narrative. Some insiders claimed that footage showing Evelyn and the producer having a heated but intimate conversation in a parking lot would be released soon, while others insisted the network would bury it to avoid legal complications. As the day turned into night, the energy on set was electric but tense. Everyone wanted answers, but Evelyn kept her distance, retreating to her dressing room and refusing to engage with anyone, even Chantal. Meanwhile, Ty, ever the strategist, made sure her side of the story was told loud and clear. In a cryptic, live session later that evening, she didn't mention names, but her pointed comments left no room for doubt about who she was talking about. "People love to pretend," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "But receipts don't lie, and when the truth comes out, I hope they're ready for the fallout." By the next morning, the situation had escalated to a point no one could have imagined. Paparazzi were camped outside Evelyn's house. Fans were dissecting every old photo and interview for clues. And the network's ratings had quietly begun to climb as curiosity skyrocketed. What was meant to be just another day on set had turned into a storyline that blurred the lines between entertainment and scandal. And there was no putting the genie back in the bottle. The following morning, the set was a battlefield disguised as a production space. The tension was palpable, clinging to the air like humidity before a storm. Crew members whispered behind clipboards, avoiding eye contact with the cast, while the cameras were strategically positioned to catch every flicker of emotion. Ty arrived first, her confidence radiating as she strutted across the floor in oversized sunglasses and a sharp white suit. She didn't need to say a word. Her smirk said it all. She knew the power she held now. Evelyn showed up later, shielded by a large hoodie and dark shades, her face set in a mask of defiance. But even beneath the armor, you could see the exhaustion, the weight of the headlines. That had exploded overnight. Chants of Team Ty and Leave Evelyn Alone had flooded social media, dividing fans into camps, and the producers were salivating at the free publicity. But for the women at the center of it, this was war. Jackie, always one to stir the pot, didn't waste a second. As soon as Evelyn walked in, she let out a mocking laugh. "Oh, so the bride-to-be finally graces us with her presence," she said, loud enough for the cameras to catch every syllable. The crew froze, waiting for a reaction. Evelyn paused, her jaw tightening, but she kept walking, ignoring the jab. That silence, though, spoke louder than any clapback could. Brandy, ever the peacemaker, tried to calm the waters. Look, y'all, we don't even know if any of this is real. People talk, rumors spread, maybe we should just let her explain. Evelyn's face went pale. For a moment, the ever-composed queen of the group looked like she'd been knocked off her throne. But in classic Evelyn fashion, she straightened her back, lifted her chin, and said coldly, "Dinner doesn't mean engagement. Try again." Her voice was steady, but her eyes, those betrayed her. The cast saw it. The cameras caught it, and the audience would analyze it frame by frame when the episode aired. But Ty wasn't done. "Oh, sweetie," she said, her tone dripping with faux sympathy. "It's not just dinner. It's a receipt for the ring, custom design. 6 figures, and guess whose name is on the order?" She let the words hang in the air, letting the silence stretch until it became unbearable. The crew collectively inhaled, waiting for Evelyn to crack. But instead, she walked away, her heels clicking against the polished floor, each step echoing like a drumbeat of defiance. The walk-off didn't end the conversation, though. If anything, it ignited it. Behind the scenes, Chantal cornered Ty, demanding to know why she was so hell-bent on destroying Evelyn. "You've made your point," Chantal hissed, her eyes flashing. "But this is cruel." Ty, unfazed, simply shrugged. "Cruel is lying to everyone's face. Cruel is playing innocent while you're making backroom deals that affect all of us." The power dynamics within the group began to shift almost overnight. Where Evelyn had once been the undisputed queen bee, now cracks were showing in her armor. Her allies were second-guessing their loyalty, unsure whether to defend her or distance themselves from the chaos. Jackie, sensing opportunity, began planting seeds of doubt, whispering in corners about how Evelyn's secrecy had always been a problem. "This isn't new," she told anyone who would listen. "She's always thought she was above the rest of us. Now she's just been caught." Then came the fan reactions. Social media was a battlefield, with hashtags trending every hour. Hashtag Team Ty supporters flooded timelines with memes and videos praising her for keeping it real, while hashtag Protect Evelyn posts painted her as a victim of jealousy and manufactured drama. Podcasts and entertainment blogs dissected every detail, some even claiming to have inside sources confirming that the engagement was real and had been in the works for months. Inside Evelyn's camp, the pressure was mounting. Her phone buzzed constantly with calls from friends, family, and even network executives begging for a statement. But she stayed silent, refusing to feed the fire. That silence, however, only fueled the speculation. By the third day, even neutral, cast members were starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, Ty had been telling the truth all along. The producers, ever the opportunists, leaned into the chaos. They rearranged shooting schedules, positioning cameras to catch every sideways glance, every whispered conversation, every tearful confession. And as the days passed, the tension didn't ease. It escalated. Because with every rumor, every leaked screenshot, every whispered accusation, one thing became crystal clear. This wasn't just about gossip. This was about power, betrayal, and the unraveling of relationships that had taken years to build in. One particularly explosive moment, Emma confronted Evelyn in the makeup room. "Why didn't you just tell us?" she demanded, her voice breaking. "We're supposed to be family, Eve. You could have trusted us." Evelyn, visibly shaken, whispered, "Because it wasn't what you think. It's complicated." But before she could elaborate, Ty walked in, her presence like a storm cloud. And Evelyn shut down again, her walls snapping back into place as the cameras captured it all. One thing became undeniable. The cast wasn't just shocked anymore. They were fractured, divided by alliances, suspicions, and wounds that wouldn't easily heal. And in the center of it all was a secret that refused to stay buried. threatening to destroy everything they thought they knew about each other. The energy on set had shifted into something darker, something heavier. Even the crew, usually immune to the emotional roller coaster of the cast, moved more carefully, like they were navigating a minefield.
Oh no.
Every conversation felt loaded, every silence deafening. Ty, of course, was thriving in the chaos. She strutted through scenes with the smug assurance of someone who knew she'd turn the tide, dropping cryptic comments that kept everyone on edge. "Truth has a funny way of coming out," she'd murmur, sipping her coffee while pretending not to notice Evelyn glaring at her from across the room. Behind the scenes, the whispers had started to spread beyond the cast. Producers were fielding calls from network executives demanding answers, while gossip blogs published exclusive insider scoops that only deepened the mystery. Some claimed Evelyn had accepted the proposal weeks ago, while others suggested the engagement was a business arrangement to secure more control over the franchise. None of it was confirmed, but that didn't stop fans from running wild with theories. Some believed Ty had orchestrated the entire thing to destroy Evelyn's reputation, while others insisted she was a hero for exposing the truth. For Evelyn, the pressure was suffocating. Her phone had become a source of anxiety. Every ping. Another headline, another betrayal, another friend asking if the rumors were true. Even in her own home, she couldn't escape the noise. Her sister called, her voice full of concern. "Eve, just tell me, is it true? Are you really engaged?" But Evelyn, her pride still intact despite the humiliation, simply said people believe what they want to believe, and hung up Brandy, torn between her loyalty to Evelyn and her friendship with Ty, tried desperately to broker peace. She arranged a quiet dinner, inviting both women with the promise of neutral ground, but the evening dissolved into chaos within minutes. Ty, never one to hold back, started with a smirk. "You could have just told us, Eve. But no, you had to make it a secret. Like you're better than the rest of us." Evelyn, already exhausted, shot back, "Better. Ty, please, you wouldn't understand. This isn't about you, no matter how much you want it to be." The table went silent, the weight of her words hanging between them like smoke. And then, without warning, Ty pulled out her phone again. "Oh, but it is about me," she said, sliding her phone across the table. "Because you lied to me, to all of us. And now everyone knows." The photo on the screen was unmistakable. Evelyn at a jewelry boutique, trying on rings with the producer by her side. The staffer who had snapped the picture had sold it to a gossip blog, and now it was everywhere. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. There was no denying this one. She stood up so quickly her chair toppled over, her voice shaking but sharp. "You think you know everything, Ty? You think this makes you powerful? You don't even know the half of it." Back on set, the fallout was immediate. Jackie, always ready to fan the flames, wasted no time turning the situation into her own storyline. "I've been telling y'all for years," she said during her confessional, her tone dripping with self-righteousness. "Evelyn's got secrets. And when you build a house of lies, eventually it crumbles. That's just how karma works." The editors ate it up, looping her comments over slow-motion shots of Evelyn storming out of scenes and Ty smirking like she'd won a war. But not everyone was celebrating Ty's victory. Chantel, visibly uncomfortable with how far things had gone, confronted her during a break in filming. "Ty, this isn't a game," she said, her voice low but firm. "You've humiliated her. What's the point now? You proved whatever point you were trying to make. Isn't that enough?" Ty, unmoved, tilted her head and replied, "It's enough when she owns up to it. Until then, she doesn't get to play the victim." As the days went by, Evelyn became more withdrawn, skipping group events and avoiding calls from her castmates. When she did show up to film, her demeanor was cold, calculated. The warmth and charisma she was known for had been replaced by an icy distance that made everyone uneasy. In confessionals, Even the producers noted the shift. "She's always been guarded," one admitted, "but now it's like she's building a wall no one can get through, not even us." The fan base, meanwhile, was in chaos. Hashtags shifted daily, with hashtag Team Evelyn trending one moment and hashtag Truth Hurts trending the next. Podcasts speculated endlessly, some dissecting body language in clips for clues. Others interviewing so-called insiders who claimed the engagement was more complicated than anyone realized. One particularly wild theory suggested that Evelyn wasn't just engaged to the producer, but had been promised a stake in the show's future. A claim that neither she nor the network bothered to deny. Inside the cast, alliances were shifting rapidly. Brandy, tired of playing mediator, began to distance herself from both women, focusing instead on her own projects. Emma, who had once idolized Evelyn, started gravitating toward Ty, seeing her as the only one willing to tell it like it is. Jackie, sensing opportunity, positioned herself as the group's voice of reason, at least on camera, while subtly stoking tensions off-screen. "I just want the truth to come out," she'd say in interviews, all while feeding gossip to the blogs to keep the story alive. The breaking point came during a charity event, one of those high-profile gatherings where every camera was rolling and every move was scrutinized. Evelyn, looking flawless in a sleek black gown, walked in with her head held high, determined to reclaim some control over the narrative. Ty, of course, Ty approached first, her heels clicking against the marble floor. So she said with a sharp smile, "How's the happy couple?" Evelyn didn't flinch. Instead, she met Ty's gaze and said evenly, "You really think you've won, don't you?" Ty smirked, "Sweetheart, I'm just getting started." And just like that, the room erupted in chaos. Whispers spread like wildfire. Phones came out to record, and by the next morning, every entertainment site in the country had the clip on repeat. What no one expected, though, was what happened after the cameras stopped rolling. Away from the flashing lights and eager eyes, Evelyn broke down. For the first time, she admitted to a close friend that the engagement was real, but far from the fairy tale everyone imagined. "It's complicated," she said, tears streaking her perfectly made-up face. "I didn't want it to happen this way. But now I don't know how to fix it." And as the world continued to speculate, as her castmates chose sides and the audience devoured every scrap of drama, Evelyn found herself standing on a precipice, torn between protecting her pride and telling her truth. Because deep down, she knew one thing with absolute certainty: whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same. The days that followed were nothing short of a media circus. Paparazzi camped outside Evelyn's home, desperate for even the smallest glimpse of her or the producer. Every movement, every delivery to her house, every car that pulled into her driveway became headline material. Blogs were updating by the hour, each story more dramatic than the last. "Secret wedding in the works," one claimed, while another boldly announced, "Ty exposes Evelyn's power play." The frenzy was relentless, and for Evelyn, felt like the walls were closing in. Inside the production offices, tension was boiling over. Meetings that should have been about scheduling and creative direction turned into heated arguments about damage control. Some producers argued that the scandal was good for ratings, while others worried it had crossed a line that could backfire on the franchise entirely. One executive was overheard saying, "We wanted drama, not a meltdown." This is a disaster waiting to happen. But even as they debated, the cameras kept rolling, because in reality TV, chaos isn't a liability, it's currency. On set, the cast moved like chess pieces, calculating every word, every gesture. Jackie was milking the situation for everything it was worth, giving confessional after confessional filled with cryptic commentary designed to keep her in the headlines. "You think you know someone," she mused in one segment, and then bam, a secret fiance pops up. "I'm just saying, people need to start being real." Her knowing smirk sent fans into a frenzy, with many convinced she had more dirt to spill. Brandy, on the other hand, had grown quieter, retreating from the spotlight as the feud spiraled out of control. In one quiet moment with a producer, she confessed, "I don't even recognize this group anymore. It used to be about fun, about sisterhood. Now it's just lies, betrayal, and cameras waiting to catch every tear." Her words were raw, but they wouldn't make it to air, too genuine for the narrative the network was building. Tai, emboldened by the public support she was getting online, doubled down. She started dropping more hints, never outright confirming anything but saying just enough to keep speculation alive. In one explosive moment on camera, she looked straight into the lens and said, "Some people want to hide behind their perfect image, but the truth doesn't care about your image. It comes out one way or another." The clip went viral within hours, cementing Tai's role as both villain and hero in the unfolding saga. For Evelyn, the breaking point came during a scheduled group shoot meant to project unity. She showed, up late, her face expressionless, dressed head to toe in white-like armor. The other women were already there, the tension palpable. Cameras caught every second as she walked in, her heels echoing against the floor, her gaze sweeping the room. Tai, never one to back down, was the first to speak. "Oh, look," she drawled. "The bride-to-be has arrived." What happened next was reality TV gold. Evelyn, her voice steady but laced with venom, shot back, "You think you've won, Tai? But all you've done is show everyone exactly who you are. Desperate, petty, and miserable." The room went silent for a heartbeat, and then chaos erupted. Voices rose, accusations flew, and producers scrambled to keep the scene from devolving into a physical fight. What the cameras didn't catch, though, was what happened after Evelyn stormed out. Alone in her car, she broke down, finally letting the weight of everything crush her. She called her mother, her voice shaking as she whispered, "I don't know how to do this anymore. I don't know how to make it stop." But even in that moment of vulnerability, she knew there was no way back. The story had taken on a life of its own, and all she could do now was survive it. Meanwhile, fans were dissecting every frame, every leaked clip, every social media post for clues. Some were convinced the engagement was nothing more than a publicity stunt orchestrated by the network. Others swore they'd seen genuine chemistry between Evelyn and the producer in behind-the-scenes footage from months ago. Conspiracy theories flourished, turning the situation into a pop culture phenomenon. Then came the twist no one saw coming. A former crew member, speaking anonymously to a gossip site, claimed that the engagement wasn't just real. It had been planned for months. They thought they could keep it under wraps until the finale, the source said. But Tai got wind of it and blew everything up. The revelation sent shockwaves through the fandom, fueling even more speculation about who knew what and when. The pressure on Evelyn was unbearable. Even her closest friends started to pull away, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. Her phone rang constantly with calls from publicists, lawyers, and network reps, all urging her to make a statement, to get ahead of the story before it spiraled further. But Evelyn, stubborn as ever, refused. "Why should I explain myself to people who don't even know me?" she snapped during one particularly tense meeting. "They're going to believe whatever they want anyway." As filming continued, the dynamic within the group shifted yet again. Alliances broke down, new ones formed, and the atmosphere became almost toxic. Chantal, who had been largely quiet up to that point, finally confronted Tai during a group dinner. "You wanted the truth out? Fine. But look around you, Tai. Look at what you've done. Is this what you wanted? Because none of this feels like a win." Tai's response was cold, almost detached. "The truth hurts." Maybe it's time everyone got used to that. But beneath her bravado, even Tai was starting to feel the strain. In a rare private moment, she confided to a producer that she hadn't expected things to go this far. "I just wanted her to stop acting like she was better than everyone else," she admitted quietly. "I didn't think it would blow up like this." The producer, sensing an opportunity for a redemption arc, encouraged her to share those thoughts on camera. but Ty refused. "I'm not giving them that," she said flatly. The network, ever calculating, began to tease an explosive truth. Reveal episode promising viewers answers to all their burning questions. Promos showed clips of Evelyn wiping away tears, Ty pacing angrily, and Jackie declaring, "This changes everything." The hype was electric, and by the time the episode aired, ratings had skyrocketed to record-breaking numbers. But the reality behind the scenes was far less glamorous. Evelyn, exhausted and isolated, began seriously considering walking away from the show entirely. In a late-night call with a close confidant, she confessed, "I don't even care about the money anymore. I just want my life back. I want to be able to walk outside without feeling like the whole world is staring at me." The idea of leaving scared her, but staying felt impossible as the dust settled, at least temporarily. One thing became painfully clear. Nothing about this situation was simple. Friendships had been broken, trust shattered, and a once tight group had been splintered into factions. And though everyone tried to pretend that things were slowly returning to normal, deep down, they all knew the truth. The damage had been done, and no amount of scripted reconciliation could undo it. And as filming for the season finale loomed, a question hung heavy in the air, one that no one dared to ask out loud, but everyone was thinking. Was this the moment that would finally break Evelyn? Or was it the scandal that would push her to reclaim her narrative and come back stronger than ever? Either way, one thing was certain: the world was watching. It wasn't ready to look away. What a whirlwind this has been. And honestly, it feels like we've only scratched the surface of this storm. Evelyn's silence, Ty's unapologetic attitude, the producer's refusal to make a public statement. It's the kind of chaos that keeps everyone glued to their screens. And with each new clip, each cryptic post, the questions just keep piling up. Is this a real love story caught in the wrong spotlight, or a calculated move to control the narrative? Will the cast ever be able to rebuild trust after this level of betrayal? Or is this the scandal that changes the show forever? We want to hear from you. Do you think Ty went too far, or was she just exposing a truth that needed to come out? And what about Evelyn? Is she the victim of a smear campaign, or is there more to this engagement than meets the eye? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over, and your opinions might just make it into our next breakdown. If you've been hooked by this drama as much as we have, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Trust us, with the way things are unraveling, the next twist could drop any second, and you'll want to be the first to know. Stay tuned, because in this world, the drama never sleeps, and neither do we.